We're going to talk about, producing in a pandemic and beyond. We've got some very brave producers who are going to tell us what they've been able to do, what may be on hold now but coming soon. Everything's going to start in March. You heard it here first. But no, we've got Katrin, for instance, has been shooting this week and moving to danger zones next week. So I would like to welcome our panel. Cecile, yes, join us. Tommaso, he's there in the wings. Christoph, still here? You maybe try to sit under your picture, but we'll see who shows up. Katrin? Yeah. Hello. Again. Especially people who are doing double panel duty. You get an extra drink tonight, I think, if you've done more than one panel in a day. It's a lot. So please, all the mics are clean. You can grab whichever one you want. We're going to talk about producing right now, producing in the near future, what's fallen apart, what's newly hot, maybe. Katrin, I want to start with you because you have been shooting a feature film called Monte Verita, which is a co-production between Switzerland, your company Telfilm, Austria and Germany. It's shot in Switzerland and Italy. It's now shooting in Cologne in a studio. And you're going to shoot it in Vienna soon, even though that's a tricky area. Can you just tell us a little bit about how it's all been? You know, when was it supposed to shoot? Did it get delayed? And how much extra is it costing? It's a lot.
Yes, well, we wanted to start shooting middle of June. And then it was quite clear, end of March, that it isn't possible. So we were kind of ready to start shooting, you know. So we decided in the end to start shooting on the 22nd of August. And we did. We had shooting days in Ticino in Switzerland. We moved to Italy. Everything went quite well there because we were shooting outside. And then we now moved to Cologne and we are shooting in the studio, which is quite safe as well, because we have like the surroundings, which it's like the bubble. All, the whole crew and cast are in the same hotel. They are getting to the studio, they are getting back, and they are not really in touch with any other people. But now the big task is going to be to shoot in Vienna, because Vienna is now a risk area for both Germany and Switzerland, and we've got crew and cast from there. And this is like really hard at the moment, making decisions, and especially our crew is like on a psychological basis. They are really worried. I think some of the Swiss people won't come with us because they are too scared. It's like taking them into a dead zone. It seems like that for them. And although we are like, for example, the Swiss crew, there are these special like rules for people working in culture. If they are only for 5 days in a risk area, it's allowed to them not to go into quarantine when they return. And we were supposed to have 6 days, now we are reducing on 5 and stuff like that.
Like most government measures, that makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
You can get it on your 5th day.
Yeah, well.
I'm glad to hear that it's made it slightly easier. Can you tell, what kind of film is it? Is it a film that's sort of intimate drama, or has it got lots of big scenes with lots of extras? Does it have sex scenes? What kind of movie?
Everything.
Okay, sorry.
It's a historical movie which is based in 1906. So we have lots of extras. Yes, we have sex scenes as well. And then we have all the historical, like the costumes and masks and everything. So these were extra costs as well, because we had to have extra rooms, for example, for the like bigger rooms for masks and costumes, and have extra people to work with them, not to exchange the costume makers, for example.
And do you have a COVID supervisor, like one person who is?
Yes.
Yeah, and how did that person get trained up, or how did you find them?
Well, we had one like the supervisor from Germany. He was trained doing that, and he had experience from German shoots already, but just no co-productions, just Germany. And now we have an Austrian guy who is there every day and taking temperature from crew and cast and disinfecting everything. And every week we. Well, I'm just giving the sign. I brought some pictures from the shoot.
Oh, yes.
So you can see, well, this was in
yes.
Italy, in Canobbio, where we were shooting Ascona, but Ascona doesn't look like it any longer, so we were shooting in Canobbio. And you can see on the backside, you see the extras. We are working with 3 cameras, sometimes 2, but mostly 3, and have a second unit as well to make it possible in 34 shooting days. And there's the director, Stefan Jäger, he's talking to the extras. So they are wearing their masks until they are shooting, and then they are allowed to take them off. Okay. So this is we built the Casa Centrale, which is the main building at the Monte Verita. But it doesn't look like that any longer. There's a hotel attached to it. Maybe some of you saw it when they've been to Locarno Festival. So we built it on that meadow, and we shot all the outside there, and the inside we are now shooting in Cologne. Yeah, and there you see all the extras. So everybody's wearing masks. The lady in blue is one of our main actresses on the left. It's Julia Jentsch from Germany. She, like the main cast, they are allowed because of the mask and hair and everything to take their masks off.
And can you estimate yet what the extra budget is? It 5% more?
No,
10?
it's more. No,
More.
it's well, our total budget now is around 7 million euros, and it's about 600 to 700 extra costs regarding COVID.
Okay. And
expenses.
where did you I assume you have some soft money. Did they help with the overage on that?
Well, we applied for that money. We can't be like 100% sure that we'll get it, but Switzerland is. It's fantastic, really, how we work together with the Federal Office of Culture and the Zurich Film Foundation. They are very, very helpful, and I think we won't get insolvent after the shoot.
Okay. And you had insurance in place before that didn't have a COVID exclusion, or how did you?
Well, just a normal
insurance.
Yeah, insurance.
But it was before COVID started.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just going deep in a little case study to set the scene of what it's really like to shoot right now. And good luck in Vienna.
Thanks.
Stay safe. I'd like to just talk to all the rest of you too, just to find out what's going on with your slates. You know, do you have something that was supposed to shoot this summer that's now 21? Do you have something you're just pushing back to March? Did something fall apart? Cecile, what's happening with Anton?
I'm in a very specific position because I just left Gaumont and joining Anton. And during pandemic, I did my own production, A Little Girl. But from Anton and Gaumont experiences, it's true that in France, all shooting were stopped. There were a lot of debate during COVID for insurance. That was a big thing in France, where the CNC created a fund dedicated to insurance. It's true that some streamers like Netflix do have an insurance, but only for their originals, I heard. So it's very different, and for sure, all the independent producers had to review their budgets, have a COVID supervisor. On the set, everybody has a doctor testing everyone. I mean, yeah, that's the whole thing. But in France as well, during COVID, all the post-production facilities as well were closed. So people had to rush after June to be on time.
And I should know this, but you're French. Anton is headquartered in UK. Were you going to move,
UK.
or have you moved, or do you not need to move? You're going to stay.
No, I'm gonna be based in Paris, but going to London once a week.
Okay.
But
Not
now,
right
I
now.
don't really. But and on Anton's side, so we have Fireheart and animation from Laurent.
We're gonna talk
so
more, yeah.
we'll talk more later that it's all going very well regarding animation. And of course, we had a lot of package that we co-developed, trying to co-finance that fell apart with the COVID. And also, we made offers on some project where you have an actress committed and she says, okay, I only want to shoot in Australia or Iceland. So how you restructure the whole thing? So yeah, right now it's the daily conversations we have.
Lots of daily conversations, I'm sure. Has there been anything that, obviously lots of things might sort of be restructuring right now or recasting or you don't know, but does it look like there's anything that's going to totally fall apart and you don't have to name names, but is there a project that's sort of on hold that will
honestly
not happen?
There are some actresses attached to a lot of things, and so you see, okay, when they're gonna shoot there, or same for instance, you've seen in the trains, Gerard Butler has, I think, 3 or 4 very big scale projects. I don't know
when how you can do all of this.
Exactly,
Yeah, can't do them all in March, can you? Tommaso, I'd love to come to you. You're with Texit Films. You're Italian, but the company's mostly in the UK. You've financed films like Rocketman, Men in Black 4. What does the landscape look like to you? Are you actively seeking new projects and moving things forward, or is things sort of taking a pause?
I think for us it's a little bit sitting on the other side of the table from that perspective, because in 2018 we deployed about 20 million in equity among in these 2 movies as well. And it's been, production risk was, an easily settled question with the bond companies and the studios guaranteeing the production. And we had our sort of second raise, which was $100 million to start in April. And obviously, as you can imagine, there's been a lot of thinking about that. And our first idea was, and again, probably more of a financial way of thinking than a creative one, but to protect our investors' money mostly. And so we decided to delay all our investments from April and give it about a 6 months period. So start deploying again in October. And it's been a very hectic moment because you could see all sorts of films, from the great ones that we would want to access before pandemic to new projects coming up. They all flow into, onto our desk. And the type of deals that you access were extremely interesting, but the exposure on the production side was very big. So to answer to your question, I think there is a lot of production that went busted, many of which nobody speaks. And I think there is many production that are said to be delayed, but we will never hear about again. Obviously, that's very sad, but at the same time, it also selects more solid projects, which are also more likely to be successful in the future. And I think what we're doing now, we're doing it with Christophe as well, is we are selecting the first projects we are going to invest in starting from the month of October. And I think France actually has done a great job in terms of, being there to guarantee productions. I think Italy has not that yet in place, but they have increased the tax credit, which was raised to 40% for smaller production. I think what maybe the government didn't understand yet, and I think it's important for them to understand, is we need bigger productions to be shooting in these countries. So Italy, for example, increased the 40%, but up to a 4 million tax rebate. So obviously, if you have a $100 million film shooting in Italy, that's not interesting, right? So I think there is a demand. I mean, from the production perspective, from the finance perspective, we need the government to be more involved, and this is a point we need to stretch. And at the same time, I also think we need to think differently about production, which is something we are doing right now. it's not anymore the same way of doing it, not just in terms of executing the production, but making the production a center of revenue as well while you're shooting. So I think, I mean, Thomas from Pulse Film was here before, has done that very well because they work with Vice, but our idea is to, get brand to come on board onto the project, do collaboration while we're shooting. In this way, not only you do a passive way, it's a passive, P&A spending, but you also manage to cash in onto brands wanting to be part of a movie earlier. And hopefully we'll also bring people back to the cinemas more easily, or if not to the cinemas, at least people will be more proactive onto the streamers. I think today we spoke so much about the streamers that are subscription streamers, but we forgot that there is a direct-to-consumer which is more transactional related, and it's absolutely key to also focus on that.
Yeah, TVOD like iTunes or other Sky downloads and, OTT, I guess.
Yes, I actually believe, that there isn't a model that is only cinematographic. We only go to the theater or only go to the streamers, right? I think the TVOD allows to play on that, and it's something that has to be chosen, as Christophe said in the first panel, project by project. So what we're doing now, it's a film that will be thought for streamers, but that has an artistical ambition that can potentially be, theater and streamers at the same time.
Best. And Christophe, sorry to keep you waiting. What's going on with your slate? Has a lot of things been put on hold, and are you able to resurrect them soon?
Well, when the lockdown started, we had 3 movies in post-production, but it was not shooting, it was post-production. So we were very confident that we could finish those movies. And the truth is that we're only finishing those movies now because we couldn't do a proper post-production.
It just takes longer.
Yeah, it takes longer. And when the director and the editor can't be in the same room, you can't finish the movie. So we are finishing those movies now. We had a movie that was financed in May, and we were supposed to shoot it in October, but we took the decision. It's a 3.5 million euros movie. We took the decision in May to shoot in April, so we delayed 1 year the movie because we were very afraid of the second wave and thinking that maybe the movie could be hard to produce at that time. And so now we're focusing on things that we know we can do, things that you can shoot in a specific time and number of days, number of actors that you have. So that's the kind of project we're talking now. Things that we know are doable because we reach like 10% increased budget, and that percentage is still bigger on lower budget movies. So that's how we try to manage it.
Okay. And are you planning in April to have everybody wearing masks and temperature checks and all this? Do you think we still need all that?
Well, we delayed 1 year the movie because we hope we won't be in that situation. But if we have to be in that situation, we'll do it that way.
Okay. And you're feeling the French government sort of gets the needs of French producers and are doing enough to support you, or do you need more support?
I think all the market has to be helped, and maybe independent distributors, independent cinema maybe needs more help than we do producers. So
okay, that's very generous.
We need everybody, to make the system.
Yeah, you need the
work.
whole value chain to be supported to
we
work.
feel that we're not in the worst place.
Okay, hey, I like a bit of positive spin, silver lining. One thing I've been hearing a lot about, and at the European Film Forum in San Sebastian this week, almost every speaker said, co-productions are impossible right now because you might have an insurance guarantee fund in France and Germany, but they don't fit together. Or if you're a French person working on a German set, I don't even quite understand it. But co-productions seem really tricky to either get off the ground or get properly insured. Is that an issue for for anybody? I mean, Katrin, it sounds like you were already set up and going before.
Well, but we changed the spendings in a way because it was clear that we get more money from Switzerland than from Germany and Austria. Austria, it was 5%. In Germany, it wasn't quite clear. We started shooting and we still didn't know how much we were going to get. So I was talking to the Federal Office of Culture here, and they said, well, we want you to do that movie, and in the end, we'll find a way to support you. And it's just a word. It's not like written down, but I'm taking them by word.
That's a nice Swiss way to do
Yeah.
business. I like it. Yeah, Cecilia, are you guys having any problems with insurance issues?
I think the insurance fund I was talking about, Christophe, you tell me, but I think it's only for French-based producers, and the shooting has to take place in France. I think that's at least 2 criteria. So for international production, I guess, it has to be a majority French production for the fund to apply. But yeah, those are tricky situations for sure.
Yes, and I don't understand all the ins and outs of them, but I know it's tricky. Yes, good luck. Maybe there's some insurers in the room who can help. Are any of you thinking about, maybe you've had a sort of awakening during this pause and you want to only do social issue films now, or but maybe just on a more practical level, are you thinking about doing different kinds of projects? Like, I don't see anybody that's going to be rushed to shooting a war epic with 1,000 extras, even in April. You know, are you thinking a little bit differently about what's going to go ahead? And I mean, Tommaso, you were saying it's sort of like survival of the fittest, like the cream of the crop is what's going to actually be made. But what does cream of the crop mean to each of you?
I think the way we're planning this at least is we do have a big film that is planned that has a lot of extras. It's not a war epic, but it's a period film, and it will be certainly a complicated shoot. But we're trying to plan it as late as possible in terms of at least maybe seeing if there is the possibility of having a vaccine or something that allows us to shoot. And in terms of the movies that we're doing now, we are trying to focus on the ones that are a bit easier to make. I mean, my brother can testify as well. We've been reading a lot of different scripts, and I think we don't want to overflow the public with films about pandemic when hopefully the pandemic will be over, because that's also a bit depressive, right?
Also, as an audience member, the last thing I want to watch or go to the cinema and see is some kind of COVID or virus. No, thank you. I need to escape, so thank you. Please don't make those.
And actually, we're trying to focus on more like feel good, as you say, and musical or films that actually bring people together. With Christophe, we're working on to a feel good film again, and I think the idea is obviously to try to make the shoot as simple as possible. So smaller budgets and feel good movies are preferred, at least on our side, but planning the bigger films just to be later, to start production as late as possible.
Danny's got a musical too, and that thing's going to be huge when we can see it. Yes, okay. Someday it's going to be amazing. What about you, Christophe? Are you thinking about what kinds of films audiences are going to want? No, not
Well,
definitely.
we are really driven by directors that we try to follow, and we try to construct a filmography with them. The thing is that we know that we developed a lot of script during the COVID period, so there will be, we hope to produce a lot in 2021, but we know that's going to be complicated.
Yeah. And is it going to, if we're looking and everybody's thinking, 2021, we've saved it all up, maybe it's not even all in March, maybe it's the rest of the year. I mean, are you going to have trouble, is everybody going to have trouble finding the right crew? Is crew base deep enough to handle 20 things shooting in the UK when we're going to restart in May next year? Is that going to be difficult, or you think there's enough people to go around?
No, I think there's enough people to go around, but it may we may have to think differently the way we produce and we make movies, because I know, for example, that a good friend of mine who's DOP had to change his whole crew the day before the shooting because one of the assistants got positive to COVID during the camera testing. So that's just things that we need to be more flexible and to understand that the period is complicated. So we need to adapt.
Yeah. Katrin, anybody related to your set at all ever test positive?
No, we've got tests every week,
Okay.
and until now everybody was negative.
Okay, touch wood. I mean, I just was reading the headlines, that Batman had restarted, and then Robert Pattinson got COVID. It sort of blew my mind. Like, this is a plague of locusts that, I mean, how much is that going to cost them? Having your star have to sit out for at least, 2 weeks? I just couldn't even imagine it. I mean, are you prepared? What would happen if one of your leading actors got it?
Well, our main leading actress, she's at the Burg Theater in Vienna. That was the reason why we started on the 22nd of August, finishing by October 8, because she's starting rehearsing on October 14. So we said we need at least 1 week if we have to stop shooting, and then we can be more flexible. But if she really gets the virus, we have to stop everything and I don't know, shoot in March.
Yeah, no. She's going to be fine. I didn't
I
need
hope
to say
so.
it out loud. What has been the most annoying thing about shooting a film in COVID time for you?
Well, all the mask stuff and everything, that wasn't the problem really, I would say. But I think the insecurity, if in the end we are really going to get the money, and now it's all the psychological side. Last night I had a Zoom with the people after rep, and they are so worried. And if you are a different person yourself, I'm not really worried traveling to Vienna because I think chances are quite low if I wear my mask. We are not sitting correctly now. It should be 1.50 meters and whatever, but all this we are doing at the shooting. So we are really taking care of everything. So I'm not worried of getting it, but people are different. And that's really, it's not annoying, but it's quite difficult to cope with it and to have all those conversations with crew members and kind of calm them down or find solutions and react if there is a new area on the list and stuff like that. And I have other projects to come as well, and
No, I think independent producing is the hardest thing you could choose to do in the world, except coal mining, probably. And to be able to do it during a pandemic, my God, hats off to anybody who's still doing this even after COVID. But it's amazing what everybody's been able to achieve who has been able to produce. We're going to start to wrap up a little bit, but I wanted to look at sort of the next piece of the puzzle, because we've been talking about this. Maybe there's going to be a bottleneck in like March, April. People are really going to start shooting a lot again. But what's that going to then lead to I know this is not a panel about distribution and exhibition, but your project's life in the world. Because if you're producing something or are there films you've been holding back this year that you hope to get into cinemas once they reopen that? Or is there going to be a real logjam, or is there going to be a sort of wasteland where we just don't have enough product because not everything has been shooting? What are your thoughts about these projects getting into the world after we can shoot them? Anyone?
I think again, it's certainly not going to be like before, okay? But people before pandemic were still going to the theaters to see stage play, right? It's not that stage play stopped existing when cinemas come in, right? So people will still want to go to the cinemas, not just because the streamers are bigger than before, then people will not go to the cinemas. I think Christopher Nolan's movie is a huge budget film, thus it's not a success at the moment at the box office, but it doesn't mean that the numbers they've done are not encouraging. So I think, our vision, and this is something we've been discussing, and CAA, ROG has been absolutely fantastic also helping financiers to find the right orientation in what films to invest in. There will be a selection of films, a smaller selection of films that will go to the cinema, at least initially. And I think it will be certainly a shorter window, theatrical window. Maybe the 17 days, it's a little bit extreme. Hopefully will be a little bit longer, but it will adapt on the type of movie that is going to be released. This is my opinion, and I think theatrical revenue will matter. Hopefully the P&A spending will be lower, and hopefully there will be more, profits coming from the streaming platforms that have less advertising money, so more profits for the talents and the financiers.
In France, for instance, this summer, I think most of the local films did the business they were supposed to do.
Yeah. They didn't have competition from...
So yeah, screens were available. Distributor got time to work very well on the films. It was not crowded with all the blockbusters. So I think some of the French comedies did well this summer theatrically. So let's keep positive.
Yeah. But is there that worry, though, that the minute Hollywood starts pushing out James Bond, every film that's been on hold, is that going to decimate independent cinema at the box office because there's so many blockbusters? Or maybe they'll have to spread out the blockbusters anyway because they don't want to cannibalize
but at
themselves.
least it's good to have those blockbusters back,
get people
to create. To have the very wide audience come back in theaters.
And I also think you need to remember that the majority of the box office, at least 50% of it, is not made by a wide audience. It's made by a very small portion of the population that is the recurrent moviegoers. All right, so I don't think that a person that is a recurrent moviegoer will go see Bond or will go see Mission Impossible, but it will also go see an independent film. So I don't think we need to worry too much about losing the non-recurrent moviegoers. They are the ones that say, okay, it's Bond, we're going to take our kids and go to the cinema. I think we need to think how to tell these people that goes to the cinema, it's a small part of the population and makes the biggest part of the box office, to say, hey, going to the cinema is safe again, we respect the rules, and you can go see a wide selection of films. So there is hope for independent films as well.
Good. And Katrin, when is Monte Verita supposed to be finished and out? And will that shift a bit because you were...
No, not really. It's going to be finished around May, and we hope to have the world premiere in Locarno, but let's see if they like it.
Yeah. And what about theatrical release here? I mean, if it's going to be after Locarno next year, I would assume theaters are going to be pretty... God, I hope theaters will be pretty normal by then.
Yes, our distributor is DCM both in Germany and Switzerland, and the idea is if Locarno is going to happen right afterwards, it's going to be in Swiss cinemas, and end of September, beginning of October in Germany.
Okay. Are there any questions out there for our experts? There's got to be a producer out there who's about to shoot and want to know how it is. Okay, we've got one coming.
Hi, I'm Elena Berrazzoli from Peacock Film, based in Zurich. And we had to interrupt the shooting. We started in end of February. We shot 12 of 27 days of a cinema movie, and we had to postpone the shooting, and it has to be in winter or fall. So it is planned now for November.
Any tips?
Well,
good luck.
I would like to talk to Katrin. I will call you if it's okay.
Sure.
So we can exchange some experiences. And I was in the task force which elaborated the Schutzkonzept, the protection concept for shooting of fiction movies. So we were very busy in this lockdown time, even if we couldn't shoot. And we had to clear out all the things about the technicians, how to pay them, who could help, etc. And we are also waiting for a confirmation of the Bundesamt für Kultur and the other funders to help us to cover the overcosts, which now we see more concretely what they are about. And I was a little bit shocked.
All we can say is good luck. right? And yeah, it must be nerve-wracking waiting for that funding and, not knowing what's going to increase. Katrin, any final thoughts from you about people who are thinking, can we shoot right now? Can we really do it? What would your sort of encouragement be?
Well, I think in general, I would say yes, you can. But looking at all the figures at the moment, I'm quite happy that we are going to finish shooting quite soon, because I wouldn't want to move it further into fall and winter.
Yes.
But yes, go for it, I think.
Okay, let's end on that positive note, if we can. Thank you so much, panelists, for being here and talking about that. And good luck with Vienna. Yes, fingers crossed. And good luck with all the other projects that are hopefully going to be going soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.